One thing you speak about so clearly that we talked about a little bit earlier is the idea that failure isn't the end of learning. It's often the only way that we actually are able to learn. From your perspective, what's happening in the brain and then the nervous system when people feel stuck, discouraged, or ashamed while learning something new? And how does shame interrupt learning? And how does safety restore it?
I think the biggest thing that we need to kind of reframe here is perfection. Failure is only a part of the learning process if you consider perfection to be the end goal, right? Yeah, you're playing the wrong note, but that's fine. It's called the blues, right? You play a blue note. That's okay. You just got to keep playing. Do you know how many times I mess up at my piano bar when I'm playing? I have a 2-hour shift, right? And I probably mess up around 300 times. But I got to just keep going because I'm entertaining a crowd. I just got to keep playing. It's not about what I'm playing. It's about how I'm playing it. It's about if I can communicate the idea of a song to other people. That sort of reframe of what is good and what is bad, or what is right and what is wrong. It's not about the notes you're playing. It's about how you're playing it. And so what happens in the nervous system when you feel like you're just messing up constantly? What happens is your heart rate spikes, your adrenaline goes through the roof, you start self-monitoring, which is just never good for creativity, and you clam up. You start to mess up over and over and over and over, and then you just totally deteriorate into not being able to even produce a single note at the end of that process. And so it's not about the notes you play. It's not. That's why we don't require 100% accuracy in MuseFlow. We require 95% accuracy. Proficiency is really where it's at, you know? And so what happens nervous system wise is just all of those emotions, the fear of failure because of perfectionism, our adrenaline spikes, heart rate goes through the roof, our breathing stops, and then we just clam up and we can't continue. That's what happens. And it's just so unfortunate to see people like that. You got to keep telling people, breathe, relax. Don't worry about it. It's not about if you're doing it wrong or right. There's no reason for that,
Many people quit music, art, or other creative pursuits for that very reason because they feel like they're bad at it. Perfectionism, talk a little bit more about how that interferes with flow.
If we think, there's a classic saying, right? Perfectionism kills creativity. Because if we're trying to create the perfect thing, first off, that's not even real. What is perfect? That's such an esoteric concept that you can't even define, right? And perfect it's so based on interpretation. My idea of perfection, it could be very different than your idea of perfection, right? Say a song is called Frolic Through the Forest or something, right? And it's written do, 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 right? Very kind of bouncy, very fun. To me, that's frolicking, is this sort of bouncing kind of feel, right? You're frolicking, you're kind of skipping about through a forest and you're wandering that way. But maybe your idea of frolicking is more legato. Maybe it's more of a curiosity, right? Maybe that's how you interpret that song versus how I interpret that song. So perfection in that regard is pointless because it's so based on context. It's so based on personal preference. I would try your best to just not even think about what perfect is and just think about what your truth is and how you want to explore that song. Now, when you go into such, again, esoteric concepts of like how you want to interpret that song, that drives you down into the present. That allows you to ground yourself in something that is really just simply tactile and not real, or it's just you playing it and you exploring a song and expressing yourself. That's the key to flow when it comes to any sort of performance, in my opinion. It is expression. And how do you do that? Through your instrument. An instrument is simply a way to translate an idea from one medium to the next. And it is a way to express yourself, right? If you can think about it that way, that will allow you to really drop into flow, because all you're doing is just finding the truth of what it means to you, not trying to find this perfect way of playing it. That's not musical. That's not fun.
What changes in the brain and nervous system when people are allowed to experiment, make mistakes, and stay curious?
Your heart rate drops. You get into the flow and the rhythm of whatever you're playing, right? And your heart rate follows that. And your body and mind follow that. You start to sway. You start to go into a trance, a sort of meditation in a way, right? And then it becomes something very emotional for you too. You can express yourself through that instrument. So number one, your heart rate drops. You fall into this meditation. You then can tap into emotion. If you're clammed up, if you're all anxiety driven and you're not breathing, that doesn't allow you to tap into your river of creativity that's underneath you. And a lot of artists talk about that river. You can call it God. Bach called it God. Divine inspiration. He was able to tap into that, right? Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney talk about it as a river, and they're building the well down into that river of creativity every time that they try to write a song or play a song. They're building that well. And then soon enough, that well is super fortified so that it's just so easy to drop a bucket down there, grab a little bit of water and pull it back up. Exercise that sort of well of dripping down into the creativity of the river of creativity. What helps with that is relaxation, breathing, lowering your heart rate, dropping into the present, and finding that flow for yourself. Flow is so personal. It just depends on what you enjoy, you know?
Absolutely.